Fantasy Football Happy Hour with Matthew Berry, served by Applebee's.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry live from Radio Row at the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. Now, okay, the big game may be done, but you know what we were doing out here all week long in Las Vegas? Talking to superstar after superstar after superstar. We have a bunch of interviews, honestly, so many interviews with great players and personalities. We couldn't fit all of them into our podcast last week. So here they are, some of the biggest stars in football on the Fantasy Football Happy Hour set. Welcome into the Happy Hour set. Jake Croucher, Matthew Berry with Baker Mayfield, NFC South winning quarterback this year. Advanced Auto Parts, our friends there, making you available. We'll talk about that in a second. But Baker, over 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, most yards, most touchdowns in your career this year. What went right in Tampa Bay? What clicked for you to have such an amazing year?
Yeah, obviously we started out pretty hot, but we didn't really know the system. We weren't all on the same page, so I think for us, and we lost quite a few games in a row there in the middle of the year, just sticking with it, saying, all right, guys, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Let's just get the little details right, and let's stick together and do that. And I think everybody bought into that, and that was what we saw, just finally ironing some things out in the back half of the year and just saying, all right, if we just execute, we're going to be damn good. So let's just keep doing that.
Yep. Seems like you had an amazing connection with Mike Evans, who I think is just continues to be the most underrated receiver in football. No one ever talks about him. He just piles up, 1,200-yard seasons and double-digit touchdowns.
By the way, Mike Evans, better numbers with Baker Mayfield than with Tom Brady. Just saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, you won more games than Tom Brady in Tampa.
Numbers are numbers. I'm just saying.
What was it like kind of building that chemistry over the year?
He's such a stud, and obviously, from an outside perspective, been a big fan of his. Growing up in Texas, he did as well. Watched him his whole career and just understanding how big he is. But I didn't realize how fast he is. He's a big guy that can truly run. And then once you're in person as a quarterback, you appreciate the little special things he does on routes, how to get into a blind spot of a corner, how to win routes on leverage. And so he's done it so consistently for 10 years now. I mean, it's unbelievable. And so to be able to get to throw to a guy like that makes your life easy.
Yeah. Great year, obviously, from Evans. Also, Rachaad White. Yep. Cade Otton emerged. Godwin is Godwin, of course. Yep. Obviously, in a monster year from you. Talk to me about Dave Canales, and also what's Bryce Young getting in him?
Yeah. I keep telling people this. He's the most positive person I've ever been around. And in football, it's a pretty rare trait to have. Through all the ups and downs that you go through, he kept the same approach. Like, guys, this is a new opportunity, and it's refreshing for a lot of the guys. That normally you can beat yourself up after a game that you lose or you don't play well, but he comes in, he's like, guys, let's listen. If we can just fix the things that we can control, we're going to be fine. This is a good opportunity for us. Stick together, stay with it. And so for Bryce, it's a good opportunity to have a refreshing mindset and somebody that's going to put him in a good position to win.
Yep. So, Baker, you're nominated for Comeback Player of the Year tomorrow night at the NFL Honors. Pretty amazing story. I mean, 4 teams in effectively like a 12-month period. Yeah. I thought it must have been particularly sweet going and clinching the division on the last day in Carolina. But what have the 12 months been like?
A lot of ups and downs. And to say that I navigated it perfectly would be a lie. But just trying to take it one day at a time. And I think that was the mindset once I got to LA for the last 5 games of the 2022 season was, all right, let's get back to the basics. Let's have fun playing football again. They're not going to make the playoffs anyway, so let me just have fun, enjoy being around McVay and those guys, learn as much as I can, and get that just the little kid mindset in football back and go into free agency with a fresh start. And for me, it ended up being control what I can control and be the best version of myself each and every day. And Tampa allowed me to do that, and I can't thank them enough.
Yep.
So it's interesting. So you mentioned 4 teams in 12 months, and now you're a free agent. What do you listen? We all want to get paid, right? And listen, you're a quarterback. You're going to do just fine in the market here. But what are you looking for? Are you hoping to stay in Tampa Bay? Are you looking for team fit, coach, scheme, other receivers? Talk to me as you approach free agency. What you're looking for?
At this point in my career, I want to win. And so you start to look at organizations from the top down, how they run it, do they run it correctly, and Tampa does it. Well, great. And so I saw that firsthand. So that's obviously they have a leg up on the competition. But for me, scheme-wise, what is this coach going to put me in the best position to show my strengths? And so then you look at the guys around and what you can possibly make of it. But I want to be able to have fun playing football and continue to do that because that puts me in a good position to have success, just mentally for me and being around those guys. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. I thought one of the most impressive performances from you this year was actually the final week of the season against Carolina, where I know that, statistically it wasn't your best game.
It was horrible.
Well, but I mean, the fact that you were out there and it was clear that you weren't 100%, but I remember you ran for a first down and got absolutely crunched. Can you just talk about like the process of going into that week and playing that game and then ultimately clinching the division? Amazing play from Antoine Winfield as well to get the fumble at the goal line.
I can't say enough about Antoine Winfield. He saved the game for us. It's week to week, everybody has to deal with injuries, bumps and bruises, things here and there, especially late in the year. But you would have had to cut my leg off to miss the last game of the year to win the division in Carolina after everything that I had gone through there. So just you tell yourself you're not feeling pain enough, and you trick yourself, and somehow you find a way.
Yep. A lot of people did ask me, like, is he going to play? The question was like, I think he's going to play. I think to your point, you have to cut your leg off.
Right. Oh, you've played through some tough injuries as well throughout your career, and separated shoulders and everything like that. Before we got on air real quickly, we were talking, because this is my second time interviewing you. I interviewed at the NFLPA rookie premiere when you were the #1 overall pick, and I was just, normally when I do those interviews, they come up and I start to introduce myself. Hey, I'm Matthew Berry, like I do fantasy, whatever. And I got halfway through the break, I was like, oh, I know who you are. I was like, really, do you play? And you're like, I play.
Yeah.
So we were talking, you still play fantasy football.
I do. I think it's fun. I have a league with my buddies that I grew up with back home, and then I have a league with my wife's family. And so it's something fun and competitive that I enjoy it, and I'm not necessarily a great fantasy football manager. I tend to micromanage way too much instead of letting things ride out. But it's fun, and especially after you get a couple years in the league, getting to know guys, like you start to play favorites a little bit. And
who was on your team? Name drop for us a little bit. Was Baker Mayfield your quarterback?
No. All family and friends always beat me to it. I was definitely going to try and draft myself this year, but had Josh Allen in one league and kind of rotated between Jared and Dak and Brock in the other. So some good guys to have.
I was just going to say, I think you're giving yourself not enough credit. Those are pretty good picks, my friend. Pretty good picks.
Yeah.
Now, listen, you're here talking to us thanks to our friends at Advance Auto Parts. Tell us what's going on with them in the big game.
Yeah, so obviously everybody knows Super Bowl Sunday, but the Sunday following Super Bowl Sunday, February 18th, is National Car Battery Day. And so the campaign is false starts, kill drives. And as we know in the football world, false starts are extremely shooting yourselves in the foot. Nobody likes them. And we're mentioning dead car batteries. And when you need to go somewhere, you need to have a good car battery. But if you register at aapfallstarts.com, and there's one false start in the game on Sunday, we're not looking for a sloppy game, just one false start, you could win free car batteries for life. And so it's a pretty big deal, and I think it's a great campaign. Yeah, here supporting it.
Just, by the way, false starts are the #1 penalty in the league.
Oh, yeah.
In the NFL, it's the #1. There's an average of 2.2 per game. By the way, both the Chiefs and the Niners are top 10 in the NFL in terms of most false start penalties. And I think the important thing is that if you win this, so you register and you win, you get free car batteries for life, not for your car.
Yeah, for your life.
Yep. For your life as well. So, I mean, it's a pretty good one as well. The website, aapfallstarts.com.
Yep.
Baker, it was such a thrill to watch you have fun this year, be able to play healthy, and have a coach that obviously made the most of your talent. So continued success to you, my friend.
Appreciate
in
you guys.
fantasy and in real life.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Devon Achane, Texas A&M graduate. I'm from College Station, so Gig 'em Aggies. Loved watching you in College Station and Kyle Field. Loved watching you this year for the Dolphins as well. Congratulations on such a fast start. Here's my question. You were a third-round draft pick, and it felt like as soon as you missed a lot of training camp due to health, and yet as soon as you got out there, boom, you were immediately, pardon the pun, but hit the ground running. What allowed you to transition so quickly to the pro game?
Basically just all the hard work that we put in. Just coming into the league with a pro mindset already, even though I was a rookie. But not acting like a rookie, if you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, that just, and then like the team that I was on, they want to be great. I like players that I was around, they want to be great. So, when you fall into greatness, they make you, want to be great yourself. So just, the people around me and making me like want to work better and want to be here. So.
Mike McDaniel's been constructing great running games for a long time. San Francisco, now with you guys in Miami. What was it like getting to play for him as a rookie in that run scheme?
It was great. Like you said, man, Mike McDaniel, he was a great coach. You know, he knew how to get his skilled players the ball. So, you know, it was fun, man. It was a fun team. You know, it was just fun to watch at practice, even when even though I'm there in the thing, it's still fun to watch, man. Like, cause it's just exciting. You know, it's like the game of football is supposed to be fun, and with that team, our team, like we made it fun. So,
you are the first player in the Super Bowl era to score at least 7 touchdowns over your first 4 career games. Hard to top such an amazing rookie year, but I'm just curious, what are your goals heading into next season? Have you talked to Coach McDaniel, the position coach, in terms of what they want you to work on this offseason as you head into next year?
You know, basically, I always got goals for myself. You know, basically, I'm just want to be better than last year. You always supposed to want to get better. And, you know, as far as, like, you know, talking to Coach and McDaniel, you know, they just want me, you know, stay on track and don't let, you know, this season, you know, get too big for my head, and make sure, you know, I just keep getting better and just, you know, make sure I come in this season, you know, ready to be better. So
we were always laughing the top GPS speeds throughout the year. It's you, Tirico, Raheem Mostert, everybody on the same team in the same offense.
Yeah.
Are we getting that teammate race anytime during training camp this summer to really see who's the fastest?
I don't know, man. You know, if they want to, you know, we can, but, you know, I don't.
You have the edge?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Of course I'm going to say
that
me. Always.
Track background, I mean
they got track background.
He ran the fastest 40 at the Combine last year by far. Yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean, if it comes down to it, you know, if they all want to race, you know, obviously, you know, we're going to race. But, you know, it's training camp. I don't think we're going to be worried about racing. We're going to be worried about, you know, putting the work in. But, like you said, if it came down to it, I'm pretty sure, like, it'd happen if all of us wanted to.
Yeah. I don't doubt that at all. We were talking a little bit before, so obviously, like, you had a great NFL season, and all you're concerned about is, hey, how do the Dolphins get to the Super Bowl and win the big game? But in fantasy football, you were a very popular pickup. People were concerned coming to the season, is it going to be Raheem Mostert? Is it going to be Achane? Turns out it was both. I'm curious how often fantasy football comes up in your life. Do fans come up to you? Do they talk to you about it at all? Do your friends and family hit you up?
I wouldn't say my friends and family hit me up because, you know, it's mainly like, you know, talk to my mom and my other cousin, but they don't do like the fantasy football stuff. So it mainly be fans. And, you know, they always, some be good, some be bad. But it's all fun to me because, I mean, like, what you want me to do? Like, it's just fun to me. So, you know, obviously everybody in the world, like most of the people, you know, who watch NFL, you know, do fantasy. So I hear it a lot, even when I'm playing, like, the game. Like, people text me on the game or, like, talk on the mic and be like, you know, fantasy or, like, but most of them be good, though, so.
Well, I would think so. And by the way, I think the positive there is that obviously Miami Dolphin fans are always going to root for you. But, like, I'm a Commanders fan. That's my team.
Yeah.
But I'm rooting for you because I have you on my fantasy team.
Yeah.
It just expands your fan base, which I think is really exciting as well.
So we're in Vegas. We've asked this question and had some fun with it. A hangover-style trip. One teammate that's got to come out here with you to have fun, and one teammate you got to leave at home.
Okay.
So you're bringing with you to Vegas?
Yeah. Who
to
comes?
have fun.
Yeah, to have fun. And who gets left at home because maybe they're not that fun?
I'm gonna say me and Jalen Waddle. I bring Jalen Waddle out here, and we gonna have fun just because, you know, we both from Houston. You know, we know each other. We know, like, what we like. You know. And one teammate that I think wouldn't bring. I don't know, man. It's a lot of fun people on that team. But let me see. Probably like somebody like Tua. You know, Tua's not like
he's a little chill.
Chill. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Calm guy. You know, just, you know, want to be friends and family. And nothing wrong with that because I'm that type of guy too.
Yeah.
So probably someone like Tua. You know, he just want to chill. You know, be in his own lane.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Vegas isn't his speed.
Yeah.
Devon, I want to talk about that Week 3 game against the Broncos. Just a 70-point game, and it just felt like you guys could do whatever you want. What was it like to be a part of, like a historic game where it just felt like anything you guys did worked?
It was great, man. You know, just basically, you know, we got that playing. I realized you really didn't even realize what the score was until, like, you really just, like, was on the sideline just looking, like, for real, like, because we was just, like, everything was going so good. You know, we was out there playing
At what
football.
point did you realize, holy, like, we're putting up 50 on them. We're putting on, like, you know.
I was probably say after, like, my big run, my longest run. So I started looking like, man, we almost got like 70 points for real, like. And then so, you know, that was just a fun game all the way around. I feel like we was clicking on all cylinders from offense and defense. So.
For a lot of guys, especially at running back, when they get to the NFL, everything feels tighter. There's less space. The linebackers are faster. There's less room. For you, it never felt like that. It felt like the same guy that was at A&M breaking off these massive runs, and then you go to the NFL, it almost looked easier for you. Why do you think that was? Just because your speed?
I wouldn't say that. Just basically like the work you put in that practice. Like you said, going against the linebackers I was going against, like David Long, Duke Riley, Bake.
They can run.
Yeah, they can run. They can run, and they can cover and do the same thing like any other linebacker in the league can. So I just feel like, we just we had great defensive line and DB. So like when we going against good people at practice, I feel like it's easy for you in the game because you've been going against them all week. So then we had a great scout team. Like you said, scout team was doing good for us. So you see a lot of looks at practice, and then when you go in and see them in the game, like okay, I've seen it before, and you know what's coming.
Is there a guy on that scout team that you think could take a jump next year and maybe bump up and be a starter for you guys that doesn't get enough love?
I can't just say a name, like one person, because I be a lot of people that is good, like that can be a starter. Everybody really just one play away for real.
Right.
So I can't just give you like a direct name, but we got a pretty good scout team.
So you got a little banged up in the preseason, and you missed some time last year during injury. Anything you're going to try to do in this offseason to try to mitigate that? Listen, it's a violent game. It's tough to always stay healthy, but anything you're looking for to try to make sure you're on the field for all 17?
Basically, just keep my body healthy. Just maintain and just make sure I get extra treatment even if I'm not hurt. That's basically the main thing. Even if you're not hurt and you don't feel anything right now, it's always good to still get treatment.
All right, so you're here with Pepsi Zero Sugar.
Mm-hmm.
We were here with Puka Nacua earlier, who was as well, and he couldn't get enough of cherry Pepsi. He said he needs the sugar, the caffeine. What do you got going on with them today?
Basically, I'm here with Pepsi Zero Sugar and with the Border Rookie Campaign, Return to Pro, and Carnival Cruise. So basically, we just inviting people, inviting rookies to a chance to win a free cruise.
Yeah, all right.
Which is awesome. We encourage everyone to do that as well. The Border Rookie Return of Pro sweepstakes that Pepsi and Carnival Cruise Line are doing, Pepsi Zero Sugar, I should say, and Carnival Cruise Line are doing. Devon, I'm curious because, again, as I mentioned, I'm an A&M fan. I grew up in College Station, grew up in Kyle Field, and so I would always talk about Devon Achane, and then it came out that you preferred to be your last name pronounced Achane, and so I was curious about that. By the way, one of my producers calls you Achane.
We never heard that one before.
We've never heard that one before. Talk to me about your last name here for a second. Where did that come from? Did A&M get it wrong all those years? Because you were always called Achane in College Station.
So to me, I really don't I was never really a person I'd rather be called this. It was kind of like somebody asked me how you pronounce my name, and I told them. And they're like, okay, we're going to get your name right. We're going to get everybody to start saying your name
Took
right.
long enough.
Yeah, but, it was all fun to me. I never was mad about it. I actually liked it. Everybody called me Achane. Everybody make little different, slangs with it. So it was fun. But how you pronounce my name is Achane.
Achane. Yeah. There you go. Exactly. It's not Achane, producer Damien, as well. Well, listen, Devon, you had an amazing season. We cannot wait to see you next year with the Dolphins. Congratulations on all your success last year. Go Dolphins, Giga Maggies. Thank you, my friend.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. All right, we're back and happy to be joined by one of the top prospects in the 2024 NFL Draft, Rome Odunze. What a time it is right now for you, man. Listen, every single year draft scouts are looking for player comparisons. There's been crazy ones for you. I mean, legends, Larry Fitzgerald, Jamar Chase. Is there anybody that you are trying to model your game after a little bit?
It's such an honor to be mentioned up with some of those guys, the greats, and that are some of them, still doing great things. So it's a tremendous honor. But I like to pick apart my game and look at my game in different aspects, relative to receivers in the league. So my releases, I like to look at Devontae Adams. My contested catch, I like to be the Julio. My route running, the Keenan Allen. So I try and spread it apart like that.
I want to ask you about the contested catches because I do the draft at NBC. I watch everybody over the summer, and you were great. The size, the speed, that offense was clicking with you and Mike and Jalen and everybody in that offense. But this year, the contested catches were out of this world.
Right.
I mean, you unlocked a totally different level. What did you do to find that part of your game?
Oh, man, it's something I've been working on for a while. I think that was a part of my game that I've been, wanted to show off, and I feel like I had the capability to do so. And this year, it kind of just unloaded at a high level, just the opportunities that I got. But it was just the work in the offseason, building that connection with Mike. This was my sophomore, junior year that I did stuff with the basketball team, doing rebounding and stuff.
Okay.
Shout out to Coach Conroy and Coach Adams for hooking that up for me. But, yeah, it was a lot of different work, just using bags and different, drills to try and elevate it. But, the biggest thing was just building that connection with Mike and that trust and, in those moments, just being ready to shine.
Talking about rehab, you're talking about off-season, talking about all the prep that you do. So this is crazy. I don't know if people realize this. So you get a collapsed lung and a fractured rib against Arizona September 30th. You literally aren't allowed to get on the plane to fly back to Washington. So you drive back. 2 weeks later, 100, like this guy, who knows when this guy's come back? Turns out 2 weeks later, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns against Oregon.
Yeah.
Talk to me about, I mean, like, have you just been blessed with some amazing ability to recover quickly, or is this rehab?
Pain tolerance?
Pain tolerance.
Maybe.
What is it?
Maybe a little bit of that. I pride myself on being a tough physical player. You know, that's part of the game. I think what makes the game awesome is, you know, people play through injuries, and regardless of what you're feeling, you go out there for your teammates, for your brothers, and you compete. And you know, that was my mindset going into it. My favorite superhero growing up was Wolverine, so maybe he's giving me that regenerative, ability. But yeah, so you know, it just worked out. I felt, you know, comfortable enough to get it done, and it was against the team down south, and we don't like them, so I had to, you know, muster up some more courage.
Yeah, that's right. We're seeing more and more rookie wide receivers come into the league and dominate. I mean, years ago, guys would sit for a year, guys would be slowly acclimated. Now you have pure superstars. We had Puka Nacua on earlier, but it's not just Puka. I mean, we've seen it with Jamar Chase, on and on and on. Why do you think that is, that guys like you and these guys are coming in, they're going through the draft process, and they're just ready to roll out of the gate?
Well, I think it's credit to all those who came before us. You know, the Julio Jones, the Randy Mosses, and the Odell Beckhams, who've kind of inspired, you know, the younger generations to go get it, and that, you know, it's possible to go in the league and have that success right now. And I think, you know, when you have those models in the league, and especially the league becoming more of a pass-friendly league, and you know, all the highlights that you see on social media, it kind of inspires you and to work on your craft and to work on the art that it is. So I would credit it to the guys that came before us.
Now, I mean, you talked about, like, in terms of, you know, you want your catchphrase to be this guy, and that you try to pattern your game after a bunch of different guys. But just as a kid growing up, who was your favorite wide receiver? Like, who's the guy that you had the poster on in your kids in your room? You know.
Well, I was a big fan of Devin Hester. You know, he was more known as a punt return specialist and a kick return specialist, but he was a wide receiver. I tried to model my game after him, and that's why I like running with after the catch so much, because that's kind of like reminds me of, you know, the clips I used to watch of him. So I would say him. You know, he's
a legend.
He was a legend, and he just gone to the Hall of Fame, which I was so excited to see. I think he should have been in there a long time ago, but it was awesome.
You and Michael Penix, special connection. And I think what some people missed was, everybody saw it this year because you guys were in the national title game. But the year before that, it was the same thing. You guys were firing all cylinders. What is that connection like? And now that both of you are going to be going into the league at the same time,
it's awesome. It's awesome, and it was an incredible journey to be able to build that up, and you know, especially, you know, us coming together. I mean, we were 4-8. He was coming off of like injuries and stuff. So, you know, for us to come together, we were just hungry and we were ready to grind, and I think that created an attitude within the facility and around all of us that we were ready to go get it, and created a starvation mindset that, you know, it was us against everybody, and to build that connection with him, you know, coming out of the mud like that, it was special. And going into the draft together, I'm super happy for him. You know, super excited to see where we'll both land, and super excited to see what will happen in the future. Maybe one day, you know, he'll be passing me the rock once again.
So, selfish question for me. So I have an 18-year-old son. He's a freshman at Alabama.
Okay.
And I'm like, wait, you go to Alabama and Saban retires? What are you doing? But now all of a sudden gets a brand new coach.
Right.
What does my son and all the Alabama fans have to look forward to in coach?
Oh, man, they got a lot to look forward to. You know, Coach DeBoer and the way, you know, his staff operates, it's second to none. And, you know, his camaraderie, his ability to get the team going, you know, his mind regarding schemes and making sure everything off the field is taken care of as well. It's amazing. And I'm super grateful. I was super grateful to have him at Washington and be under his staff and learn so much from him. You know, he's just a great football coach, but more than anything, he's just a great man.
Give me one thing he taught you, one thing specific that you remember that.
I would say the connections. I mean, and the networking that he has. Like, when he came to Washington, it was like he picked, you know, a bunch of different pieces to create this staff who was so amazing, and the connections that they already had, like when they entered the building, is like they almost had a chemistry already. So I think the way that he treats people, you know, and the way that he goes about his business, it's very respectful and very genuine. And I think, you know, the people that get to interact with him and go along this journey with him connect with that.
So you're here with Sharpie today. Shout out to them. Very nice, setting us up right away. What do you got going on with them today?
Yeah, so they got me out here. I'm super excited. I'm partnering with them. They got this new S-Gel pen, and, you know, they're partnering partnering with me just, through my rookie year. Just when I sign my contract, I'll be signing it with Sharpie, and it's super exciting. I like to take notes on the game, and to have a pen like this, and to have Sharpies at hand, to be able to have no smear, no smudge, no bleed on my paper. Like, it makes everything crisp, makes everything exactly how I want it to be, and I'm kind of OCD about all those things. So Sharpie provides all the things I need.
With the talent you have, everybody's going to want an autograph with one of those Sharpies from you. Odunze, one of the best prospects in this year's NFL draft. Thanks so much for stopping by, man.
Of course,
we appreciate
man. Thanks for having me.
Back on the Fantasy Football Happy Hour set, Jay Croucher, Matthew Berry. And if you remember, at the beginning of this year, the Roto-World Fantasy Football magazine came out, and on its cover, Tony Pollard, who joins us now, the cover guy for us on our fantasy football season. Thanks for coming by the show. Tony, you're coming off your first season as the lead running back. Of course, so many years you and Zeke were a 1-2 punch in Dallas, but how you feeling after a year with such a heavy workload?
Physically, I'm feeling fine. I'm feeling good. Feel like I had a pretty good year, especially for me coming off of, a broken leg, torn ligaments in my ankle. And, I'm feeling good right now, though.
Yep. I think that kind of gets swept under the rug a bit, the fact that you did have such a major injury. I think people didn't pay as much attention to it because, it was the last game of the season for you guys. But, how is your health, and how did it kind of progress the recovery throughout the year?
It was a tough injury. Treatment, rehab, that was a process, just fighting through, just talking myself into it, and just getting my head back into the game. And I would say probably like midway through the season is when I felt like I was just all the way back, probably the Carolina game against the Panthers. But after that point, I felt like I was good to go.
There you go. You are a free agent this year. I'm just curious, as you head into free agency, listen, we all want as much money as we can make, right? No one's different there. But other than the financial aspect of it, is there anything you're looking for? Do you hope to come back to Dallas? Are you looking for scheme fit in terms of how you're playing, offensive line, coach, culture? What's important to you as you head into free agency?
A little bit of everything, what you said. The fit, the scheme, just somewhere I feel like I'm, I would say, you could say a little bit of everything. You said like a combination.
How they're going to utilize you? How will the coach make the best use of your skill set and everything like that? And obviously, you want a team that's got a good line.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, talking about your skill set, Tony, I think for me the most memorable game you've had, it was a couple seasons ago against Minnesota, where I think you beat those guys 40-3, and you just went off as a receiver, and it was like you were playing a different sport. Is that something that you'd like to emphasize going forward, being used more as a receiver out of the backfield?
Just being able to have the ball in space, just not having to be in such tight crowds and, with not much room to work with. So, just having those chances where I get the ball in space and just make a play and make a guy miss, it usually turns out good.
It did feel like this year they didn't use you that. Now, obviously, because they're using you between the tackles so much, which is what often happened with Zeke last year, and so then they could get you, in motion and use you in a bunch of different ways. But do you think that was a conscious thing, or just the way the game sort of played out, or Dak wasn't looking for you as much as in the passing game because you're touching the ball so much between the tackles?
I would say I think that's just the way things played out. With different coaches, different schemes, with Kellen leaving and McCarthy taking over the play calling responsibility. So just a little bit of all of that.
Yep. So mentioned Dak there. So Dak had an awesome season. He's in the mix for MVP. What did you notice about him just changing over the past few years?
Honestly, he's been the same player since I've known him, since I came into the league and met him. He's been the same type of guy. He's the type of guy that you want around your franchise. He's the type of guy that's going to lead by example and do things the right way. Just his leadership that he displays on and off the field. And just, I would say just him leading, but what makes it so big is he's not just a vocal leader. Like, he leads by example. So he'll get out there and do the things that he's telling you or that he wants you to get better at. Like, he'll get out there with you and do it. So just having a guy like that, that's somebody you want around.
Tony, you're famously, obviously, from Memphis, Tennessee. Your family has a barbecue restaurant. in Memphis. Tell me, what's your go-to barbecue meal? And also, like, if I go to this restaurant, is it all Tony Pollard jerseys and pictures or no? Like, can I order the Tony Pollard? Is there a meal on the menu? Talk to me about your family's restaurant.
My go-to, I would probably get a slab of ribs, dry rub. I would get some baked beans on the side, get like a slice of bread to go with it, and I probably may get like smoked sausage or something with coleslaw and barbecue sauce.
Okay. No, I love it. So speaking of Memphis, Memphis is a bit of a running back factory. Some great guys have come out of there, like D'Angelo Williams, Darrell Henderson, Antonio Gibson. Do you stay in touch with those guys? And do you think there's anything about just being from Memphis that produces running backs?
Yeah, I mean, we had a great bond when we were there at Memphis. All the running backs that I played at Memphis with, all in the league. So it was me, it was Darrell Henderson, you got Patrick Taylor.
Yep.
You got Kenneth Gainwell. That's 5 of us.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. And Antonio Gibson.
Antonio Gibson, exactly.
Antonio Gibson, can't forget.
Well, listen, I can't forget Antonio Gibson. So I as much as I admire your playing ability, I am a diehard Washington Commanders fan. So I've cursed your name many times as you've ripped us up. I'm curious, what am I getting in Dan Quinn as a head coach? I know he's the defensive coordinator, but you had to go against that defense in practice every single day. What am I getting in Dan Quinn?
I would say expect a completely different team. Dan Quinn is the definition of a player's coach. That's one guy who I know for sure knows how to get the most out of his players, and he makes them want to play for him. So when you have somebody like that leading the way, the team is only going to follow behind that. So I would just say expect a completely different team in a positive way.
That's the reputation. It's just like, players love playing for him, that he connects really well with players. And
Definitely.
So it felt like in Washington. Tell me if it felt like this to you when you were out there playing against them. It felt like from a fan point that they just sort of checked out, that for whatever reason, maybe Rivera had lost the locker room or whatever, but it felt like the team had kind of checked out. Do you get a sense of that when you're out there against them?
Maybe for other teams,
right?
But like when teams play the Cowboys, they never check out.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Everyone wants to bring their A game against Dallas.
Yeah. Last one from me, Tony, and then we'll ask you about Ascent Protein. But Super Bowl on Sunday, obviously you played the Niners earlier this year, you played them last year as well. Do you have a pick for the game? How do you think it's going to unfold?
It's going to be a good game for sure. I can't go against Mahomes.
Okay. A lot of people say that.
Yeah. He is going against Mahomes. I'm not.
I'm not doing that.
I'm not either. I'm not either. I don't get it.
I don't like the odds of that.
Okay.
So, Tony, tell us, you're here thanks to our friends at Ascent. Tell us about this and your partnership with them.
Yeah, I teamed up with Ascent spring 2023. And, they have a lot of different protein powders. They have post-workout protein. They have pre-workout proteins. They have plant-based proteins, post-workout protein powders. And, they have a lot of different flavors, different choices to pick from. And, it's just mix it with milk or water, either one, whichever one you want. And it's pretty simple.
Do you have a favorite flavor?
My favorite post-workout flavor would be chocolate and the vanilla bean.
Okay.
And the pre-workout would be the strawberry lemonade.
Interesting that you have such different choices in terms of flavors for pre and post. Yeah, I like it.
Appreciate it. Well, listen, Tony, we're looking forward to seeing where you land next year, obviously, and you've been a superstar in the world, not only of NFL, but also fantasy football. So thank you for all the touchdowns, all the yards, all the receptions. Continued success to you, my friend.
Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
Tony.
I appreciate it.
Jay Croucher, Matthew Berry here at the Happy Hour desk with fantasy superstar Dalton Kincaid. They always say don't draft a rookie tight end. This year people did, and it paid off for them, not only fantasy football, obviously for the Buffalo Bills. First off, welcome. Congratulations on a great season. I don't think people realize this. You didn't play competitive football until you were a senior in high school, and a guy had to talk you into joining the team. You were a big basketball player, obviously. Are you still in touch with that friend that talked you into playing football? Like, is he like, dude, you got to hook me up. Like, I should get a little piece of this.
Yeah, it was more really a collective effort because, I'd gone there to really just play basketball and, have a good senior year. And it being a smaller school, everyone really played multiple sports. So football was kind of just fell into it. Grew up playing, flag football a little bit, but Friday Night Lights was a little bit more enticing than I thought it'd be.
Okay. It is kind of crazy, though, from not playing till your senior of high school to then first-round NFL draft pick, whatever, 5 years later, is kind of unbelievable.
Yes. Gives me hope that I may still make the NFL as well, in fact. Are you the best basketball player on the Bills?
I would support that statement,
right,
I would.
Yeah.
Some people think that they are, but, I would take myself against anybody.
Okay, well, we'll ask you more football stuff, but the key question here is, you noticed before we started recording that I'm Australian, and apparently you had an encounter with a kangaroo.
Not a friendly one by any means.
They're animals. They're awful.
Yeah,
yeah, they're no good.
Yeah, I discovered that they're actually pests, so I had a traumatic experience as a kid where I was beat up by a kangaroo.
How old are you? Let's set the scene here. You're how old at this stage?
11, 12 maybe.
11 years old, 11, 12. Your parents take you to a dangerous kangaroo.
It was actually a very friendly zoo, and they had a portion of it where it was like a feeding area.
Yeah.
And they give you Cheerios, so I had ran out of Cheerios and ultimately kind of taunted the kangaroo.
Right.
And kangaroo just kicked me down and just starting the beat down.
And what happens at that point? Like, do your parents come get you, or they're zoo people? Like, do you fight him off?
For me, it was all a blur, but I can imagine from their perspective, ultimately turning around and kind of laughing at first, and then realizing like, oh, we gotta help him
Save
out.
this kid.
Yeah, unbelievable.
If we got our friends at P&G, and I know you're here promoting the P&G Battle of the Paddles, but I wonder if P&G, if we could go find that kangaroo and say, hey, we want a rematch now. Because I think you could take. He's older, you're bigger. Like, I think you could take that kangaroo now.
I've had this thought and conversation. It would be more embarrassing if I lost the fight now if it was a fist fight.
This is true.
So it's like, do I get a weapon? How do I get to approach this fight?
Yeah, that's fair. That's you definitely have more to lose than the kangaroo.
Absolutely,
if we did have a rematch. Yeah. But I think there would be a lot of interest in it. I'm just saying.
Seems like you have a really broad portfolio of opponents, be it Legarius Sneed, kangaroos in Australia when you're a child. People don't realize, people think that in Australia, kangaroos are just everywhere, nice cuddly creatures. They are people of violence, kangaroos.
They're pests, I believe.
Yes, they are.
They are everywhere, though. Jay had to ride one to school. All right, let's actually talk football here for a second as well. For the longest time, it took tight ends a while to get acclimated into an offense, and so as we talk about fantasy football, we're like, literally like the only tight ends that had ever finished top 10 as a rookie, Evan Ingram, his rookie year, when there was everyone else on the Giants got hurt, he was literally the only guy to throw to, and Gronk, who just caught a bunch of touchdowns, obviously, from Brady. And then you and Sam Laporta come along, have monster years. Talk to me about being integrated into the offense and how you're able to pick it up so quickly and become a big part of what the Bills are doing.
I think that was the first thing, was learning the offense, and then just kind of having the confidence and trust from the top down, from the coach to the quarterback, position coach, and even just receivers out there, and just knowing what to do, and that you're kind of confident in being able to do that, and then just experience, being out there and having game time experience helps slow things down. But Sam had a fantastic year, and it's cool because we're texting each other back and forth periodically throughout the year, just rooting each other on. But
did you guys become friends through the pre-draft process? Because I'm sure you guys were the top 2 tight ends off the board, and so.
Yeah, and he's an even better guy off the field than he is on the field, and that's hard to say with the numbers he put up this year. So it's pretty cool just to see the success, and you root for other tight ends throughout the league, just kind of talking to people, and tight end U has kind of created that bond. It's like an unspoken bond between the position group. So it's awesome, going up to guys before games, after games, just basically saying what's up and just introducing each other.
Yep. So we've got 2 legendary tight ends in the Super Bowl on Sunday, obviously, and George Kittle and Travis Kelce. Did you model your game after kind of elements of either of them or other tight ends in the league?
You try to. I mean, those are 2 of the best to do it in 2 completely different, situations. Kelce's fantastic, catching the ball and just kind of always seems to be open, and George is just plays with passion and intensity like no other and has success. So you try to model your game after them, but they're just so unique in what they do. It's hard to do that.
I want to ask you about the offense because Ken Dorsey started as the offense coordinator. He leaves the team midway through. Joe Brady becomes the interim offense coordinator. It's now been announced he is returning full-time. What changed in the offense when you guys went from Ken to Joe? What did you notice there?
Joe's message was just to do simple better. So I think really just simplifying our game plan and just going in with what we felt really confident in. And I think that was kind of the biggest thing was just everyone had an idea of what we were doing going into it. And it was super sad to see Dorsey go because you don't wish that upon anybody. But
yeah, of course.
Super happy for him and the position he's in now with the Browns. But have all the confidence in Joe and very excited for him to be our OC going forward. Has
he talked to you at all, him or Coach McDermott or your position coach, in terms of what they expect from you in year two?
Yeah, a little bit with our exit interviews. Just what they want to see more of and what to work on in the off season.
Okay.
Want to give us any detail on that, or or is that trade secret?
We can leave it as a secret for now, but there's some obvious things I feel like that you could just see if you watch film, but yeah, just very excited to kind of attack the off season and get better.
Yep. So really interested to know what it's like playing with Josh Allen when he gets out of structure. Was that kind of a difficult learning curve, just when the pocket collapses, when Josh is on the move and you have to find the soft spots in the zone?
It is, because you're taught, run to the sideline, be friendly, but Josh, you never know what's going to happen with him, and that's what makes him so good. So I think as the season went on and we had more of those game-like situations, I kind of had a better feel for it and what he wanted to see. So it's fun, I think he's the best quarterback in the league in what he does and how he changes the game. So it's awesome to play with him.
I have one quick question, then we want to talk to you about what you're doing here for P&G. But very quickly, Chiefs or Niners? You guys lost a tough one to the Chiefs. You know them well. Curious what you think what happens on Sunday.
I got to root for the team that sent us out, respectively. So I'm rooting for the Chiefs. I wouldn't say rooting, but that's my prediction.
Okay.
But I think the last place I said 27-24 is my prediction. So we'll see.
I like that. And absolutely, like if you're going to lose, at least lose to the Super Bowl champions, right? Yeah. As well. Hey, you're here thanks to our friends at P&G. You are participating in the P&G Battle of the Paddles, the second annual one. Talk to me about what you're doing here and doing with the Battle of the Paddles, and is there anyone you're hoping to compete against?
I actually just got kind of introduced to who's in the tournament, but yeah, P&G had sent me out here. It's the second annual table tennis tournament. Last year they had it, and the reigning champ is also competing, so I'm looking forward to that. But Will Levis and Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams is a BYU guy, so there's that BYU-Utah feud, and Will Levis is just another fellow rookie in it, so I'm looking to compete against them. But you can tune in on Overtime Seasons YouTube. It'll be live 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And also, you can receive $10 off by spending $50 or more on P&G products like Bounty, Charmin, Swiffer, and Tide at Lowe's.com. But it'll be a fun tournament tonight. My competitive nature will probably kick in a little more than it should. So we'll see how it ultimately ends.
Well, we wish you luck in the Battle of the Paddles, and we also wish you luck with the Bills next season. You had a great rookie season, and we're looking forward to seeing more. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Here at the Happy Hour desk with Lawrence Jackson, I'm Matthew Berry, and we are joined by fantasy football royalty, Chicago Bears wide receiver DJ Moore, one of the best in the game at what he does. Last year, 96 receptions, over 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns, just an unbelievable year. DJ, thanks for stopping by.
Hey, thank y'all. I'm glad to be here, here with Mountain Dew. So they're supporting the new Baja Blast.
Yeah, talk to us about what's
Super
going on
Bowl
with
commercial that's coming. So I'm looking forward to it.
So, right, you are here with the Mountain Dew Baja Blast, and there's going to be a big commercial that we can look forward to?
Yeah, on Sunday. So during the Super Bowl, I'm looking forward to it. I know everybody is. I'm glad that Baja Blast is year-round now, and you can get it anywhere at any time. So all the football fans, go get it.
There you go. We appreciate that. It's interesting. I remember saying this on air when it was announced that you were going to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
I said, Justin Fields is going to be the best quarterback that DJ Moore has ever played with in his career, and I don't think it's particularly close. Yeah. I think the numbers bear that out as well. Mm-hmm. You know, the thing that was always amazing about you in Carolina was it didn't matter who was throwing you the ball. You were always productive. You always found a way to get open. But talk to me about how you're able to transition so quickly to Chicago and find that connection with Justin.
Football IQ, and then just having the knowledge that I got to restart over with Justin, get on the same page with him as fast as possible, and learning a new system. Just asking a lot of questions and a lot of reps. Say if we had a bad rep, we would talk about it and then go out there and do it again. So it was just a lot of repetition and just trust at the beginning, and then trust became, okay, I can count on him to do it, and when it came down to it, he just threw up the ball, and I had to make a play for him.
Yeah, and y'all chemistry is clear. You started off the season great with him. He missed a few games, 4 or 5 games, and the production went down a little bit. Soon as he came back, y'all was right back at it. Yeah. So tell me, with Fields as your quarterback, tell me what are some of his biggest strengths just as a quarterback?
His ability to adapt in certain situations. You know, he had the injuries, then he came back. I know he looked over his game and had to dial some things back, like the running, and just wanted to be a better passer. So he went out there and did that, showed that he could do it, and he grew over the year after he got hurt. So I'm proud of him.
That's what's up.
I'm gonna let's say I wave a magic wand. Mm-hmm. I make you the general manager of the Chicago Bears. Yeah. What are you guys doing at 1?
I want to say we keeping Justin.
Okay.
You know, he finished off the year strong. I know we lost to Green Bay, but in that game he was doing his thing and was everything to ask of him. And as you can see throughout the year, that he grew as a passer, and his reads was getting better. And you know, in the snow game, he was putting the ball right on the money. So what's not to love about him and his growth right now?
Yeah. So you said it. You keep Justin Fields. Let's say you keep him now. Now you guys got picks to play with in the draft, top picks, right? There's a lot of good receivers in this upcoming draft, and the possibility of them pairing one of them with you. So out of Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., Rome Odunze, some of them guys, which one of them would you like to see? Yeah. Which one of them would you like to be paired up with, if possible?
I'm going to go to a hometown favorite. I'm going to go with Marvin. So we grew up together. I watched him grow.
Scary duo.
Yeah, so I watched him and see him do what he did at Ohio State and just still growing. And it'll be unique. But any of them guys, you know, they was playmakers for their school. So just to carry, they got to carry that into the league and just keep doing them.
DJ, obviously a year transition for Chicago. Luke Getsy moving on. He's now here in Las Vegas. You do have the Bears do have the #1 overall pick, and so there's a lot of conversation about what Chicago will do with that pick. Any sense from, like, in your exit interview or talking with the front office at the Bears, head coaches, anything like that, in terms of what they're looking for from this offense next year?
Just
and
to
your
be
role specifically,
more efficient, you know, and be explosive and close out games. That's the 3 things that I would say that I said in my exit interview. So just for that to come to fruition, we would have probably won like 4 more games and been talking about a different record. You know, we would have been we were 7-10, so we would have been 11 and something. So that's better than 7-10 if we just close out a few more of those games.
Yeah, right. So now, DJ, obviously we out here in Vegas for the Super Bowl. We got the 49ers and the Chiefs. Y'all played against the Chiefs early in the season. What was tough about playing against that particular defense? Like, they're a top defense in the league, but people tend to forget that.
Yeah, they got a crazy defense. They got a crazy blitz package, and then their coverage on the back end, like with Snead and McDuffie and all those guys, they really hone in on game day and go out there and put some work in. Especially Snead, he went out there and did his thing. So it was a tough battle. Yeah.
You got a pick for Sunday?
I do have a pick. I'm gonna go with the 49ers only because of Christian.
Okay.
Christian, I've seen him work so hard to get to where he's at right now. So seeing him come from Carolina and making it to the Super Bowl is amazing.
Showing love to the team.
I get that as well. So I am a diehard, lifelong Washington Commanders fan.
Yeah.
So I just want to apologize. I just want to apologize, DJ Moore, because that Thursday night game, I was like, Damn it, DJ Moore. Damn it, DJ Moore. Will somebody please guard DJ Moore?
Yeah.
You know, I believe, what do you have? 230 yards and 3 touchdowns, completely torching us as well. I was screaming like, you would think Ron Rivera would know, of all people, what DJ Moore can do. Can he guard this guy?
Yeah.
Talk to me about that game, because national stage, and you just lit us up.
That game was just amazing. I think the stars aligned that game. Everything was just connected. Me, Justin, the offense, the line, the running backs, everybody was just going crazy. And once they seen that I had a hot hand, they just they gave me the keys and we just went off from there.
I'm grateful for that game, because I had you in a couple of them fantasy lineups, so I was like, run it up on them.
I was definitely cursing your name, but in a good way, because I was just like, good Lord, why can't we guard this guy? All right, hey, DJ, so we're in Vegas, right? So if you were, got to keep your wolf pack together. If you were coming to Vegas, what teammate are you like, hey, let's go to Vegas, we're going to roll through the town? What teammate are you bringing to Vegas, and what teammate are you leaving behind?
I'm bringing Velus Jones.
Okay. Yeah.
He's just an energetic guy, so I know it won't be a dull moment with him out here. And then I'm leaving behind Tyler Scott, because he's young. So
yeah, he doesn't know.
I don't know if he knows.
That's what Kendrick Bourne said yesterday. He said he'll leave Tyquan Thornton back because he's the young guy. He want him to focus.
Yeah, he got to focus in. He can enjoy the offseason, but right now, you can't do it out here in Vegas.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
No, exactly. And just help me out here. This is for another part of the show, but like when you're out in Vegas with your boys, right? You don't leave anyone behind, right? You got to stick together. You can't bail on your guys somewhere.
You can't leave you can't leave somebody out to dry out here. Anything could happen. They could wind up just on the side of the street, just passed out. So you just gotta keep them all together.
The kind of people that would leave somebody behind in a night in Vegas. Is there a word that you could use for that?
Selfish.
Selfish.
Yeah.
I like that, DJ Moore. I like that. You are not selfish. You spread yards, receptions, and touchdowns to fantasy managers, Bears fans, and Justin Fields many, many times over. We're huge fans of you, my friend. Thank you so much. Thank you to Mountain Dew for making you available to us. Continued success to you, my friend.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
On the Fantasy Football Happy Hour set with Lawrence Jackson, I'm Matthew Berry, and we are joined by, we often say we're joined by a Hall of Famer, but in this case, we are actually joined by a Pro Football Hall of Famer. T.O., one of the all-time greats of all time, top 3 in the NFL in terms of receiving yards and touchdowns of all time. Of all time.
Appreciate it.
One of the truly, truly great wide receivers in NFL history. Thank you for joining us, and you're here thanks to our friends at M&M's. What are you doing with them?
Yeah. Thanks for having me. You guys haven't seen the commercial yet?
Not yet.
Man,
Tell me about this.
I had a blast. Shot it in New York with Dan, fellow Hall of Famer. Dan Marino and Bruce Smith. And man. So obviously it's like a good and a bad thing. It's kind of like a backhanded compliment in a way that we almost were champions. You know what I mean? So making these, they gave us these championship rings made out of peanut butter M&Ms. You know what I mean? So what better comfort food you can have than some chocolate? So got a chance to work with those guys and the lovely Scarlett Johansson. We've been keeping it under wraps for so long, and I heard they revealed the commercial I think this morning. So it's been a pleasure.
That's pretty cool, and maybe you can give some advice to Lawrence. Lawrence, also an almost champion. He finished last in our league this year.
Oh, last? Oh my gosh.
I had some injuries though. I had a lot of injuries going on the team.
Okay. So what happened?
He gonna leave that part out.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, we can give you some comfort food, man. Give you
I'll
some of
take
these
it.
M&Ms.
I'll take
and for
it.
people that's watching and listening, if you want to see the full commercial, go to mnims.com. And if you're here in Vegas, go check out the M&M big store over there.
It is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
I've gone there. I've gone with my kids. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just a warning: if you go there with your kids, it's going to take you a while to get out. I'm just saying.
And they're going to be pretty amped up if they get hold of that chocolate, I'm sure.
Yes, they are. All right. So obviously, listen, you played with the 49ers for a long time, eight seasons, I believe.
Yep.
You're a 49ers legend. You're rocking the gear. What are we expecting on Sunday? What does San Francisco need to do to beat Kansas City?
I think the same thing that they did to beat the Detroit Lions, being down the deficit that they were. Obviously, when you get in a situation, I think with Brock Purdy, him being at the helm, hopefully it's a different result with him playing for 4 quarters. You saw at the end of the game and at key moments in the game, it was fight or flight. You have to take what the defense gives you. And I know there's been this discussion about, is he an elite quarterback, this and that and the other.
Yeah.
He's shown that he can play at a high level.
Right.
He's shown at different times that you can stay in the pocket and pass and do what you need to do, but when the defense gives you something, you take it.
Yeah.
And so I'm extremely happy for the guy to be called Mr. Irrelevant to now relevant.
Yes.
I mean, what more can you say about what he's done? But this whole notion about he's not an elite quarterback, he's playing elite enough to be playing in the Super Bowl game this Sunday.
Yeah, it really is kind of a movie, right? Last pick in the draft, and 2 years later, you're starting the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. And again, unfortunate thing last year. But again, like you said, not a lot of people are fortunate to get back. And
Very
here
true.
he is, right at the doorsteps of winning a championship. So I'm super happy. I'm super happy for the organization. This sixth championship trophy has been elusive for a number of years.
Definitely.
And I think what's key for the 49ers that we all know the defense hasn't played well these last two games, and this is what they need to do best this time around because there is no tomorrow.
Yeah, and on that offense, T.O., they got two of the top receivers in Debo and Brandon Ayuk on that side. But just overall in the league as a whole, who's a few wide receivers that stand out to you like is the top-tier elite guys coming from a top-3 all-time receiver like yourself? Who is in that top tier today? Because we got new guys that, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, he had a great season.
Absolutely. Guy like that. Yeah, we had him on our podcast, Get Your Popcorn Ready, before the season started. Really didn't know much about the guy. Got to meet his dad, understand who he was, how he got to be the receiver who he was. It talked about his brother.
Yeah.
Again, you think about what he did for and what he's doing for that organization. The Detroit Lions definitely, they could have been here right now today. We're talking about them just with his play alone. But if you think about the receivers today, I like the Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
A lot of people talk about Metcalf. Obviously, similar body types. You got to think about the Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, those guys like that. For me, it's just the consistency. Tyreek Hill had a hell of a year, and you got to be healthy enough to put up the numbers that these guys has amassed.
Do players? I would think just because you're such an iconic wide receiver, you haven't been out of the league that long. Do the kids come to you? Do wide receivers come out to you and say, "Tio, I need some advice. Can I help? Can you help me out?"
You would think that they do, some don't. And again, so I get it. Any of the guys that I've run across, especially DK Metcalf, throughout the course of the years that he's been in, we text. I'll shoot him some pointers if I see something going on or some ways to improve his game. Yeah. But these guys, they want to kind of find their way, find their path the best that they can. Like I said, I feel like I'm relatable in a number of ways. Started out from a small school, made it big time, and like I said, I'm always accessible whenever these guys need me, if be.
See, if I'd had your number a while ago, I'd have been in the NFL. That's the issue. I didn't have T.O.'s number.
Speaking of your school, shout out to UT Chattanooga, right?
UT Chattanooga, yes, sir.
T.O., one of your most famous quotes, of course, is "That's my quarterback." The famous press conference, one of the all-time great football moments there. I'm taking Patrick Mahomes out of it, and I'm taking Brock Purdy out of it. Okay? So if I said you have to stand up at a podium and say that again, that's my quarterback. Give me three guys in the NFL that aren't playing on Sunday that you'd say that about, that you'd want to be your quarterback if you were playing today.
Like that they're not playing in the Super Bowl. The current quarterbacks,
the current quarterbacks in the NFL. But I know you. I'm gonna take the homer out of it with Brock Purdy and Mahomes, of course, as well. So I'm taking those two guys out of it.
Probably Jared Goff. Because he's a guy like I've watched his career. It didn't end well with the Rams. Like I said, they made that swap. And I understand, like I said, being in that position and not being able to produce for a city. And again, like I said, he's done wonders. And if you think about the guys that are played in the AFC Championships, those four quarterbacks, and you're only going to go as far as your quarterback takes you.
Yeah.
And the quarterbacks that played in these championship games, it's very rare, very, very indicative of their play. Look at Lamar Jackson. They didn't go as far as they needed him to do because of some of the things that I think he didn't do. I think he played into the hype of him not being a pocket passer. He stayed in the pocket a little bit too long. But again, obviously Jared Goff is one of those guys. Maybe a Joe Burrows.
Sure.
I like him. He's a winner. And who else? I'm gonna give a shout out to my guy Russell Wilson.
All right.
Russell Wilson. I think he's gotten a raw deal there with the Denver Broncos, and I admire his professionalism, the way that he's kind of just stuck to his faith, and he'll land on his feet somewhere if it's not, going to continue there with the Denver Broncos.
For sure.
So,
he's a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Matthew brought up the quote, "That's my quarterback." So we gonna get back to that. We gonna have a little fun right now, right? So you got that quote, "That's my quarterback." Then you got, "I love me some me." Then you got, "Get your popcorn ready." Rank them quotes. Because the popcorn, everybody use that today still. Like, if you see some drama on social media, people going to use that popcorn emoji app for
I
what
say,
you said.
get your popcorn ready. I love me some me. Ooh, and you see how I put myself second? But I do love me some me, though. I should have brought. I got my hoodie. I should have brought my hoodie out here because I got that on one of my hoodies that I'm branding. So if you want to get that hoodie, go to my website right now. I'm shameless plug. Prototype81.com. I got some new hoodies. I love me some me. I got the white and the black. It's fire. Yeah, my boy gonna show. He's got it over there. So I was get your popcorn ready.
Number one.
I love me some me.
Number
that's
two.
my quarterback.
There you go.
It's really amazing because get your popcorn ready, to your point, has become part of
Throw that
popular
hoodie over
culture.
here.
Like everyone, I don't think it's just associated with you now. Oh, there we go. Let's get the merch out here. Let's see this.
Yeah, this is that hoodie right here.
I love me
I
some
love
me.
me some me.
That's me.
That's sweet.
And then the front right here. Yes, sir.
There you go.
All right. T.O., last question. I know everyone wants to talk to you, so they want to get after you, but I'm just curious. So we're a fantasy football show. When people come up to, does that happen in your life at all? Do people talk to you about when they had you in fantasy football? Do you play? Have you ever played any now? How often does it come up in your life
Is this
these
a
days?
PG show or not? Men and women.
All right.
Men and women. I've been their fantasies.
Fair enough.
I've been their fantasy. But it's amazing that I've had so many people when I play, and I wasn't really so consumed with fantasy football.
Sure,
But
why would you
obviously
be?
we were on the embryonic stage of that. So everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, I had you on my fantasy. You won me so much money."
Yeah.
I should have brokered a deal with these guys and got like 10, 20% or something.
Where's my cut?
Right, exactly, because I get that all the time, man. It's like, man, you was a monster, man. It's like, man, you won me so much money. And what's so crazy is that, honestly, if I was I knew that were games. I knew, how many touchdowns I felt like I was going to score going into the week based on preparation, based on who I was going to be playing, this and that. I always had conversations riding to the stadium, either with my brother, my mom, or close friends, and they were like, man, how's the game looking this week? Within like a 1 or 2 touchdowns, like, I'm probably going to score like maybe 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, like literally just because of who I was, honestly, how I really just worked hard and I prepared myself. And like I said, I just knew just by the game plan that everything went according to plan, and then understanding my playmaking ability. I know Cam and everybody was going on this game manager type thing, whatever. With a receiver, there's playmakers and there's game changers. And those can obviously, like I said, with those two type of players, the dynamics of those guys, you can really change the game. And I felt like I was one of those. I was a playmaker. I started to be a playmaker, and then I started to realize my skill set, that I became a game changer based on the quarterback and obviously when I got my hands on the ball.
You love me some me. We love you, some
Absolutely.
T.O.
And I love me some peanut butter M&Ms.
T.O., thanks so much, my friend.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys, man. I enjoyed this.
From the Fantasy Football Happy Hour desk, Connor Rogers, Matthew Berry, with fantasy football legend, NFL legend, all-pro running back, and proud fantasy life investor.
Had to have it.
Austin
Get it in there.
Ekeler. Here he is, number 30 on this field, number 1 in your hearts. Well, you know what? One thing let's start here, Austin. I always say this, and this came up on the show. I'd be proud fantasy life investor, and Jane Connor would be like, we know he's a fantasy life investor. Are you sure he's proud? Maybe he's just contractually obligated. Can we use proud?
I think you got to give me the update.
And
then I'll tell you if I'm proud or not.
How are things doing?
Right? This is all riding on his shoulders over here, so I'll let you know if I'm proud after he tells me how we're doing.
All right. We doubled revenue.
I'm very proud.
Well. Good.
Proud is an understatement.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Austin, you have your own show, Ekeler's Edge, and we know you got a lot of playing left in you, but is broadcasting in the cards after your career?
It's one of those things where I've started to dabble in a little bit, right, and build my reputation. But is it? I don't know. I can't fully say yes yet because I feel like that's like me shifting my mind to like being retired, and I'm like, no. Like I can't even fathom doing that yet. And so it's like, let me just get this football career like all the way through. Let me see it all the way through, and then we'll start looking at those options when they come.
But do you have fun with the streaming
Love
and
it.
the podcast?
Absolutely
we can tell like the
it.
energy is there for it.
Yeah. And I've said this privately to you. I've said this on the air to you when we've talked to you before. But I don't think I have ever seen a player smartly embrace fantasy football.
Yeah.
By the way, and not just fantasy football, but also gaming, because I know you have a big Twitch channel. But like, just different communities of fans, and not just slap your name on it or whatever, but truly engage, be part of the community, and be one of us. I don't think I've ever seen that, and I think, what's been amazing is that the community all the communities have responded in a big way. Like, Austin, he's one of us.
Yeah, and so here's the power of community is. Well, let me back up. There's two really like big opportunities in football. One is going and playing, right, and building up your compensation and all of that, and having a great career. But then there's the other part, which is the fans that are also there along your entire journey with you, and they actually are rooting for you, the same thing that you're trying to go do. So there's a synergy that we have, and so it's not like I'm taking every moment of my day and trying to go and hang out with fans and things like that. But I am recognizing, like, I see you, I appreciate you, right? I'll do the fantasy show to give access. You guys can send in questions, things like that, and so it's a small part of my day that shows that I appreciate all the people that are supporting me, not only in football but also in the fantasy side and the sports betting and all that, because it's become a new craze. And just saying, I appreciate the support. Thank you. And then people love it because they don't really get that from all of our other guys. And so I see it as an opportunity to get recognition, to show, hey guys, like I do see you. I'm from a small town, so I'll take any of the support I could possibly get, and I still have that small town kid that lives with me.
How many fantasy teams are you able to manage during the season?
I have a manager for my fantasy team.
Okay, well that helps a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, really during season, it's like, I could keep looking at these, but I'm not looking at every single player like, I need to drop, I need to add. Like that's overkill for me. So I have, Riley, shout out to Riley, who was managing my teams for me this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Austin, a lot's been made about your future playing in terms of where you might go as you enter into free agency. I'm curious, listen, we all want to get paid, and you need to be paid. We won't get into the whole running backs are disrespected conversation here, but my question is outside of the money, what's most important to you as you look for next year? Is it coaching? Is it scheme fit? Is it offensive coordinator? Is it offensive line?
All of that. All of
chance
it.
to win.
Culture. Yeah, all of it. All of it. And I think even just learning from what we went through with the Chargers last year, I think I could, bring back some actually valuable lessons that I'm looking forward to even helping that team work through with Jim now coming in. And so if it was with the Chargers, like, I'm not shutting any doors. Would be open to absolutely coming back. I think that's going to be a new jump start for that team. But it comes down to quality. You're talking about qualitative things and not necessarily quantitative. That's why you put the money aside. And it's so important going into year 8 that I'm looking at those things. And it really comes down to, does it align, right? It's not, is it there? Is it at a level? It's like, hey, how are you going to use Austin? Or is he's going to be a rotation third string guy? Like I have to put myself in a position where I can make an impact, and for my mental, right? And because now I'm coming off of a year where Austin had a down year, our whole team had a down year, So that doesn't define who I am as a player, right? It's definitely not a good thing going into free agency. You want to have your best year, but it's what I have to deal with, and it's my reality right now. And so that's why I'm curious to see kind of how it plays out and how these teams kind of take on the idea of having Austin on their team.
One thing that's
go ahead.
I was just going to say, one thing that's interesting, though, is that we talked about this the other day, especially with Greg Roman being hired as the coordinator in the Chargers. When Harbaugh was with the Niners in the pros, like, he had the run heaviest offense in the NFL during that phrase. Roman, whether it was in Baltimore or Buffalo or with Harbaugh, he's always been very run heavy. So it's going to be a big part of what they're doing with the Chargers. They could use an Austin Ekeler for sure.
Well, here's the thing. There's a lot of running backs that are out there in the market, and who fits that scheme best? That's the decision they're going to have to make. If you can't force a square peg into a round hole. It goes back to that saying. You can't force it. And so if you have someone that maybe fits better to your scheme and they're out there, they're probably going to go get that. And that's why the qualitative part comes back in. Where do I want to go? Is it, hey, we're going to be running downhill every single time? It's not my game. I caught 2 years ago. I caught 107 passes.
Sure.
Last year, we forgot we could throw me the ball. So I don't know what's going on there. And so it was almost forced in a way, and we saw what happened. And so it's like I want to be in a place where, hey, I'm used to my strengths. And if it's going to be running the ball, every single time downhill, then it's probably not where I'm going to be best fit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Being with the Chargers for so long, you know a thing or two about playing the Chiefs. What is something that the general fan or public doesn't realize that it's so tough going against them? Everybody knows Mahomes. Everybody knows what they could do throwing the ball and running the ball. But what is something that maybe people miss, maybe with their defense?
The linebackers are extremely athletic.
Yeah, Willie Gay can fly.
Extremely athletic. It's like I described it earlier as it's like a safety net before your safeties.
Right.
Like these guys can cover, they can run, they can hit, they're fast, right? They can fill holes, they can drop back in the zone and play zone. Like they are extremely athletic, and so that is, I think, one of the staples of their defense that maybe isn't talked about because it's a collective of them.
Right.
You know, and they took Drew from us, last year, right? He's a great player. They have Bolton there, who's right in the middle there. That guy's I call him a sawed-off shotgun.
Dude, he really is. It's like hammering a nail.
Oh my God, and he hits.
Yeah.
He hits. And so I would say that if you're looking for something that, to watch for the Chiefs and see something special that you might not be obvious, linebackers.
Two great running backs in this game, Isaiah Pacheco for the Chiefs, of course, Christian McCaffrey for the 49ers. How do you see this one playing out on Sunday? You got a winner? You got a pick?
I don't really care who wins. I hope they tie.
No, for me, Super Bowl tie.
For me, I'm like, look, I want all the guys to get through healthy and then also, right, have a good game, right? Have a good competitive game. Yeah.
So you mentioned health, and you mentioned last year, not the kind of year you would hope to have, Austin. Yeah. You were hurt earlier in the season, and of course, fantasy managers, we love listening to Ekeler's Edge because you'll be like, I'm trying to work my way. Hey, it's not going to be this week, guy. Like you're always so transparent, which we really appreciate. I feel like tell me, like, I feel like you weren't 100% healthy all year long. You're one of the toughest guys in the NFL, and you always want to gut it out for your team. And I thought there was no better example of this is like that awful Thursday night game where, the 70 points, 60 points, and you're still out there in the fourth quarter. I'm like, why is Austin Ekeler in this game that's decided, but you're still screw it.
So people, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, but to me, that's an example of your toughness. Yeah, so, talk about that, but I also want to talk about how you feel health-wise.
So anyway, injury, obviously high ankle sprain, first game of the season, sucks. Especially because that game had like 150 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
Like, all right, here we go, we're back, you know? And then high ankle sprain in the fourth quarter, like freaking, get land on from behind, unfortunate. And then miss the next 4 weeks, come back, another ankle sprain on the other ankle versus the Chiefs. And it's just like I'm dealing with these ankles all flipping season. Obviously, I'm a running back, right? I need to be agile. I need to be able to move. And when you have both your ankles taped down, it pretty much, prohibits a lot of that. A lot of what makes me special anyway. A lot of quick direction cuts and things like that. So definitely had an effect, on me this year. It was unfortunate. Like injuries, you push through them, but there's ones that can, inhibit, or prohibit some of your action, and that definitely played a factor in this year. So sucks, especially going into free agency. But even going back to your other comment, the Raiders game, there's like certain plays that are like call for Austin.
Yeah.
It's like this is Ekeler 11, Ekeler 12, or whatever the personnel is. So we in the fourth quarter, Kellen calls up an Ekeler 12 play, and my coach Derek Foster, he can put in a different running back. He's like, he looks at me, I don't even look. He looks at me, sorry, I didn't mean.
Sure, it's okay. All right. We're taped. We can bleep it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I run. I don't even think twice. I'm going in the game because they were trying to get me out of there, but I was like, this is my play. I'm gonna go make a play.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it's a screen. Like finally, I'm getting my screens right, and so boom, screen, make a couple guys.
I've been waiting for this.
I give the big first down signal, and I got so much crap for that. Like, you're losing by 40 points. Why? I'm like, I don't quit playing.
Yeah,
like, I'm still out here
going.
I'm on the field. I'm trying to make plays happen. If I do, I'm gonna be excited about it. I don't care if we're losing by 100. I'm still going. Because that's my job. As a fan, you can give up quick. I can never give up. I got to keep going. And so that's why I was in at the fourth quarter, when we were getting smoked. Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense now.
Well, listen, fantasy managers appreciate it always. We know Austin's giving us 110% no matter what when he can. You're here thanks to Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
Austin, what do you got going on with DQ?
We got the big game coming up, of course. And if you're watching from home, well, what do you got to have? You got to have a great selection of food. It's a must, a pillar in the day. And so we think of Dairy Queen, you probably think of the Blizzard, right?
Right,
of course. Blizzard. They hand it to you, flip it over. Mine's Oreo, by the way. But they have a new menu item, which is going to be perfect for Super Bowl, and it is the honey barbecue shake and sauce and toss. Chicken strips, yes. So we got the new chicken strip item, and then also some burgers as well. So they're expanding the array of Super Bowl foods that we can also have on game day.
I will tell you, as somebody with 12-year-old daughters and is at Dairy Queen Grill and Chill quite a lot.
There you go.
The chicken strips are the bomb. I'm telling you, DQ chicken strips are are legit.
Slept on because of the blizzard, the greatness of the blizzard.
Just overlooked.
Yes.
Overlooked.
Very slept
well,
on.
there's like Dairy Queens that are just, desserts that are
Right.
like just the ice cream, the blizzard, that kind of stuff. And then there's also Dairy Queen Grill and Chills that have the food. I know this because I will be hungry and I'll be like, and I'll look for a Dairy Queen near me, and it's like, it's not a Grill and Chill. It's got to be the Grill and Chill.
There you go.
But yeah, we're big DQ fans here at the happy hour as well.
Well, we
And
appreciate
we're
him having us on.
Yeah, man, and we're always huge fans of Austin Ekeler. Always my friend.
Yes.
Fantasy football legend. Can't see where do you land next, my friend. We know you're going to bring
excited.
it.
I appreciate
bring it hard.
I know. Looking forward to it as well.
There you go, Austin Ekeler.
All right, we're back on the desk of the Fantasy Football Happy Hour. Happy to be joined by NFL draft prospect Sam Hartman, of course, from Notre Dame. And last week, just at the Senior Bowl, man, down on the field, watching you out there throwing alongside Michael Penix and Bo Nix in this draft. What was that experience like for you?
It was unreal. The entire organization at the Reese's and Jim Nagy just did an incredible job of just putting so many talented people around each other, and I think the flow of the game and the flow of the entire event was so just smooth. I don't know how he does it. I'm sure he's stressed out. I'm sure he had a great vacation after, and it was just an honor to be there. I think playing on that team, being around those guys, training with Mike, and then obviously knowing Bo through the years, and just getting to see how they operate and how they work, and then all around the ball, you just get some unbelievable skill position players. And then I think the cool thing was playing with the other Notre Dame guys. Seeing some gold lids out there was a lot of fun.
I want to ask you something here, Sam. And take a good. I'm going to go with this wide shot right here. Thank you very much.
Brace yourself.
Look at this. I just want to look at you. Look at me. And then here's Connor. He's a good-looking guy. And then here's freaking Sam Hartman, who's like a model. Like, what producer put my dumb, ugly ass next to these two guys? Why do I have to do, it's outrageous. Like, I have straight guys that tell me how hot they think you are. It's unbelievable, Sam. So I'm very bitter at my producers for making this a shot. But I'm going to ask you a real question here.
Glad we got there.
Yeah, eventually. I just wanted to complain about the fact that, both of you are, even I'm sitting here like, wow, you're good looking.
I appreciate that.
Here's what I want to ask you, Sam. Last year, you thought about going into the pros, but ultimately you decided to transfer to Notre Dame. What went into that decision to go to the Irish instead of coming to the pros, and how do you feel about that experience?
I think the big thing am I ready to do the transition? Am I ready? And I think Wake was incredible, and I never want, and all these interviews and all these different things, is like Wake Forest for 5 years is my home. It still is. And I have friends. One of my best friends from there is a tight end for the Cardinals getting married next week. It's true and true. Black and gold it will always be home. And Coach Clausen, what they did for me, and I think the idea is okay. The offense I played in, I can throw, I can make the throws, but it was just in a unique style. And to get under center, to go like the Senior Bowl, and to think if I was to go to the Senior Bowl after the Wake year, I would have struggled because I wouldn't have been able to get under center, take the drops, get into a huddle, command a huddle. Notre Dame was that for me. That was the experience. That was the whole process of this thing was, hey, can I go to Notre Dame and get into a huddle, play with some guys, and do some things that in the NFL you have to be able to do on a routine basis. And so I enjoyed every second of it. It was hard. It was a big jump. It was a big difference, fan base-wise, expectations, criticisms, but all the same thing you're going to be doing as you go into the NFL.
One thing I always hear when I talk to scouts when they're evaluating quarterbacks is, have they faced adversity in college? Some of these guys go and play for 2 years. They don't know what that's like. With you, that's one of your competitive advantages, whether it's coming back from health reasons, whether it's going to transfer and having success at a new program. What has that been like at the college level for you, dealing with adversity and coming back and rising above it?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the three pillars that I kind of, when you go through this process, I feel like you have to have just things that you rely on. And I think the experience, the resilience, and the self-awareness, I think you learn all those things through 6 years. And, some people say it's a knock on all these quarterbacks for being old. I don't understand it because it's not like we're getting hit. It's not like we're beaten up. We're not a running back that's played 6 years of college and just taking beatings. We're quarterbacks that have seen every defense you can think of, been in every situation you can possibly play in, played in all the big games. And I think, like you said, the resilience factor for me is just I wouldn't want it any other way. I don't think I'd enjoy and experience these moments and being here with you guys, being in Vegas, doing all these things as much. And I think it's also to kind of get to why I'm here in this situation is the cool thing about going to Notre Dame was the charity I got to work with. And the Ronald McDonald House is this unbelievable organization that homes and houses people that are in need through medical crisis. And I've been in medical situations that I've recovered from and I've not needed any of the stuff that some people need to get by. And I think the cool thing was during the season, you're rolling through it and you're in it and you're like, man, this is tough, this is hard. And then you go on a Friday before a game and go see these families and what they're going through and the support that they're receiving and the help with DirecTV Business is so crucial, and they're doing something really cool here. This weekend they're hosting families from this area, from Vegas, to help people. And I'll forever be indebted to Notre Dame, but I think one of the coolest things was getting to work with this organization, and something when I go back for my pro day, that's going to be one of the first stops.
And if people want to learn more, where can they go to find out more?
They can go to the RonaldMcDonaldHouse.com and using the DirecTV stuff and going through there, and you can donate, you can volunteer. I volunteer, and it's the coolest thing ever. And one of the cool things is you get to go from room to room and help give little kids, families, just different items or different food necessities that they don't have. And the crazy thing was I would go in early spring when I first got there, and it'd be the same family in the same place. And you're like, you're thinking you're having a bad day. They've been out of place and in this hospital for almost a year.
That's a great cause.
Yeah, unbelievable cause. Thank you so much for all your work in that regard as well. Sam, we're a fantasy football show, so I'm just curious, have you ever played it? Do your friends play it? Does it will when you get into the pros, it will come up. I'm just curious what your experience with it so far is.
Yeah, growing up, it was something that, I knew my dad was happy or sad based on how his fantasy team went a little bit. I think that there was definitely some, he would try and get insight from me as I kind of started learning more football growing up. And I don't know if he plays much anymore, but obviously fantasy football is a huge part of this thing. And, there's always kind of the different whatever you want to call, best fantasy teams. And I know guys had leagues in our locker room legally, right? No,
of course,
not calling anybody out. And no, it's a cool part of the game, I think, and it's fun when you see guys in the NFL interact with their owners or the people who tell them hey, you cost me. I'm sorry, whatever. So.
Sam, you played with a lot of great offensive linemen, but I have to ask you about Joe Alt because they just don't make him like this guy. I mean, 6'8", 6'9", skyscraper left tackle, great run blocker. What was it like when you get to Notre Dame and you look in the huddle and you go, this is my left tackle, a guy that's going to be a top 10 pick?
I would say it was very daunting at first because you're like, this guy's going to be all world. This guy's going to be, a little too cool for school. He's going first round.
Yeah,
completely opposite. And he was the one who took me in probably the most. And it made it such an easy transition. And like you said, the whole part was going into that huddle. How am I going to own the huddle? How am I going to go in? And Joe helped me so much. And I'd say his off-the-field intangibles are just incredible. He's an engineer major with a 3.8 at Notre Dame, class load, everything he did. And then he was just a great guy. And I think that him being a captain in his third year and him just leading that O-line and setting the standard, and really the standard for the rest of Notre Dame football history as an O-lineman of what it's like to be a part of that program is just, I'm so excited for him. Joe Alt's anytime I get asked, he's the best player I've ever played with, the player I'll take anywhere I go. And it's not even just because of all the things that you see on the field, it's off the field too.
So, go ahead.
It's awesome to hear. Last question for me here, Sam, is just, we're in Vegas, Super Bowl Sunday's around the corner. Two great quarterback storylines, obviously, with Mahomes, already a legend, and Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. 2 years later, he's starting a Super Bowl. Unbelievable story for him as well. Just, I'm curious, through your eyes, how do you think this game plays out? Who do you think wins?
Yeah, I think for me, it's awesome because I at this point, I just love watching quarterbacks play. I love watching great ones play, and I think you're looking at, like you said, two of the best. And I think you look at Patrick Mahomes, and I think for me, I always look at it from the draft perspective of, I know one of my third things was self-awareness, right? Where does that come from? The self-awareness to know that I'm not walking around here 6'5", 230, and the greatest quarterback to come out of college football ever. I know my abilities and what I bring to the table and those different things. And you look at a guy like both Patrick Mahomes and then you look at Brock Purdy. But Patrick Mahomes, if you redraft his draft class, where is he going?
First overall.
Always. You watch Brock Purdy, he's going to move up as well. And I think it's a healthy reminder to kind of run your own race. And you're going to get to the point, and both of them didn't start right away and sat and learned. And I think they're just taking I think Patrick Mahomes is obviously in a whole other category. I don't want to put him in some, he's going to be one of the greatest to ever do it. But Brock Purdy, of just taking advantage of the opportunity he got, and to call him a game manager and criticize it makes no sense. Like, go game manage to a Super Bowl. All right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Good luck with that.
Yeah,
Good
exactly.
living. From Wake Forest to Notre Dame, now onto the NFL. We can't wait to see where you land. Sam Hartman, thanks for joining us.
Appreciate you guys having me on.
From the Fantasy Football Happy Hour desk, Connor Rogers, Matthew Berry, and when Drew Brees retired, no player in NFL history had more fantasy points scored than Drew Brees. Brady ended up, sticking around longer, and ultimately, but still, a legend in fantasy football, a legend in the NFL, obviously a Super Bowl champion. It's great to have you here. Thank you so much, Drew, for stopping by.
Thank you. It's probably the thing that, like, when I get stopped in the airport, the grocery store, the most random places, it's always, man, you won me a lot of fantasy football championships. Thank you. So well, it's good to know.
Well, first off, yes, you were an elite player at a high level for a long, long time. So pretty much anyone that had you on their team, that was lucky enough to have you on the team, won fantasy championships. So I'm not surprised to hear that. The other thing that was great was that I believe that you and Sean Payton, you guys love to push the ball. You guys were like, hey, it's your job to stop us. You're up 30-14. You're like, screw it, I'm still throwing. Yeah. Michael Thomas is there, whatever. You're like, you're still throwing as well. I'm curious, so fantasy football comes up. Have you ever played it since you've retired? Have you tried it? Do your kids want to get into it?
I play it every year with my boys.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got a league just with our family. Even my wife Brittany and daughter Rylan, they had teams this year.
Nice.
We kind of helped pick for them, but
okay, sure.
Nonetheless, and then with all their buddies. So each of my boys are probably in 3 leagues every year, and then I play one big league with them.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
We
need some results here, Drew.
Who was on your team?
Drew, this is what happened this year.
Okay.
I actually, my boys pulled one over on me.
Okay.
So we drafted the team.
Right.
And I had a bunch of like sleeper picks.
Sure.
That, like for example, like I took Brandon Ayuk early.
Nice.
To start the season, he had a couple big fantasy games.
Yeah.
And inevitably what ended up happening is I had some guys that had big games, and so my boys like crashed the system and made it like talk to me into basically saying like, hey, something happened, we have to redraft. And then they took all my good players in the redraft.
They got you.
I finished last.
They got you.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's the name of the game was I win, and it wasn't me, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Listen, Drew, I feel like you're the perfect person to ask this, right? Quarterbacks in the league right now that get drafted to start right away versus guys that sit. Jordan Love got to sit.
Yep.
Looked pretty good this year. Mahomes got to sit. We know what happened there.
Yep.
We've seen some guys crash and burn that had to play right away. Where do you stand on that as a guy that didn't play a lot as a rookie and then it all worked out for you going forward? Do you think is there a perfect science to it, honestly?
I think you learn a tremendous amount by sitting at least for a year, especially if you're behind a really established veteran player, and if you're in a functional, offense or functional system.
Yeah.
Like look at Aaron Rodgers, right? Sat behind Brett Favre for a couple years, and then Jordan Love sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, right? Mahomes was behind Alex Smith, but with Andy Reid in that offense, right?
Yep.
And Alex Smith was playing at a Pro Bowl level. So, those are great examples. I had a chance to sit behind Doug Flutie, right? Tom Brady had a chance to sit behind Bledsoe for a year. Those are all great examples of. I think all those guys would say they learned a tremendous amount of football just by sitting, watching, observing, learning about preparation, learning about process, learning about structure and how to form your own routine. I certainly think it gives you a bit of a leg up.
Yeah.
Because just going in as a true rookie and being thrown into the fire like that, man, it's tough.
Yeah.
And I think it can make or break, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure.
And you just don't know how it's going to play out.
It seems like because there's such a big investment in a quarterback, it feels like that's the smarter play. And then C.J. Stroud goes out there and that just screws it for everyone else because people are like, we just have a
There's the rare examples, but you'd say that's not the norm.
The exception that proves the rule.
Exactly.
It's an outlier.
Yeah, right. But I would say too that there's pressure on the teams to get guys on the field right away because when you look at what the QB salaries are within the framework of the cap, you're trying to get as much value as you can while they're cheap, right?
Yeah.
And so if they sit for a year or two, then really you're only getting a year or two before you have to make a decision on whether this is your guy for the future and we're going to put the fifth-year option on him or we're going to extend him, and then that greatly affects your decision or your ability to go and secure other free agents.
Which is one of the reasons why it's interesting. Patrick Mahomes is amazing, but Brock Purdy, who's making less than $1 million a year, on a seventh-round rookie contract, is just an unbelievable bargain for the 49ers. Speaking of Brock Purdy, of course, he is the FedEx Air Player of the Year. You're involved with FedEx. You've been there for a long time, Drew. Talk to us a little bit about this award, and then also talk about what you're expecting out of Brock on Sunday.
Yeah, this is an awesome program. FedEx has done this for over 20 years. I had the chance to win the FedEx Air Player of the Year award 4 times during my career, and it's a tremendous honor. So this year, Brock Purdy, FedEx Air Player of the Year, proud to present that to him. And then FedEx Ground Player of the Year is Christian McCaffrey. So first time in history that you've had teammates who've won this award together. So maybe foreshadowing for Sunday, who knows? But also in exchange, FedEx is giving those guys $20,000 to give to the HBCU of their choice to fund scholarship programs for deserving students. So it's fantastic.
It is a fantastic program.
So Brock, obviously, I don't think any of us could have expected what he's been able to accomplish, especially as the last pick of the draft 2 years ago, coming in as a rookie. I would say this: it certainly he sat for a little bit, before he came in. He's in a very, very functional organization and system that's been architected, I think, masterfully by John Lynch and Shanahan. They've got an offense that really requires a lot from the quarterback position. Every play is a shift and a motion, right? And the timing as to motion landmarks and all those things are very critical, right? Like, it's a very highly detailed offense. He's got some playmakers around him to be able to spread it to, which is great. Got a great defense on the other side. All these things are great. But his poise, his command of the offense, the timing and rhythm with which he plays, and I think in large part that's because, look, the shorter guys, for us, I think the requirement of being able to play in rhythm and work through progressions and get the ball out on time is at a premium. He's a much better athlete than I think anybody gave him credit for until maybe last week, when he took off and ran 3 times and really won the game. In my opinion, those were the three most defining moments of that game. And so for anybody who calls him a system quarterback, well, guess what? He just went outside the system and just won you that game. You know what I'm saying? And so it may not look like Mahomes, right?
Right.
But it's very effective.
Who wins on Sunday? You got a pick?
Here's the surprising thing about this, and obviously Vegas knows better when they start setting these lines, right? Like, I would have assumed that KC would have been the favorite. They weren't,
Same.
right?
Same.
San Fran's the favorite. KC obviously has the experience, and they've got the quarterback that can do anything, right? I feel like it's San Fran's time, They've knocked on the door here for a while now, and while this is a different quarterback than from those previous years, man, so many of those same elements are in place. And I think the way that they've won these last 2 games in the playoffs has done a lot for their confidence and their belief in what they can do. So, I don't know. I'll never count Mahomes out, though.
No, he beat Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen on the road 2 weeks in a row, so I agree with you. You never want to bet against Mahomes. We both like the Chiefs, but I think it's going to be a close one. I think it's going to be a great one, Drew, and just – if I can, for one moment, on behalf of fantasy football managers everywhere, thank you.
Big thank you.
Thank you.
Legend of
Thank you.
Glad we can make that happen.
NFL legend, fantasy football legend, awesome. Drew Brees, thank you so much for taking some time with us today.
Thanks, guys.
Live from Radio Row at the Super Bowl at the Happy Hour desk, Lawrence Jackson, Matthew Berry, and fantasy superstar Trey McBride. No tight end in the NFL had more games with 20 or more fantasy points this year than Trey McBride. Set an Arizona franchise record for most receptions by a tight end in a single season. Top 5 in the NFL in terms of most receptions by tight ends overall. Dude, what a great season.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun just to get that opportunity towards the end of the year. It kind of started a little slower than we'd like, but towards the end of the year it was rolling, and I was getting a ton of catches and trying to do everything I could so Kyler would keep throwing me the ball, and that's what I was doing. So.
Very smart, very smart. Always good to make your quarterback look good, which you did many, many times.
You've certainly earned his trust, especially over that back half of the season, like you said, and still being a young tight end in the game. We're seeing a lot of first and second year tight ends like yourself, Sam Laporta, Isaiah Likely, Kincaid. It wasn't like that, 5-10 years ago. Right. What do you think has changed recently with that?
I think just the position's changing, right? It's not a position where you're putting your hand in the ground and blocking 50 times a game anymore. Now it's a position where you need an athletic guy that can go out there and be a matchup nightmare for safeties, for linebackers, and I think that's where the position's going to. And we have a lot of young guys that are talented, like you said. Isaiah is in my class. You got it. Right. I mean, there's so many guys that are underrated and don't get the recognition they deserve, but are very good players.
You mentioned the connection with Kyler Murray. Obviously, we're looking forward to a full season with both you guys.
No doubt.
You guys out there. I want to ask you, this might be a little bit of a thinker of a question, but I believe targets are earned, that they're not scheme. Sometimes you'll scheme up somebody open, but ultimately the targets are earned out there. That, Kyler's like, who's open? Trey's open, I'm going to Trey, right? Whatever. Marquise is open, I'm going to Marquise, Rondell, wherever he's going. So I'm just curious, is there something that clicked in for you in this offense with your position coach or with Kyler or whatever that allowed you to get candidly so many receptions, so many targets? You earned a ton over the second half of the year.
It was just the opportunity, like you said. I had one good game. We played the Falcons, and I think that was one of Kyler's first games back, and I had a really good game. They played a ton of man-to-man coverage that we weren't expecting, and Kyler kept coming back to me, and I kept making plays for him. Going into the next couple weeks, I just kept getting more and more and more catches, and I kept catching them for him, and he just kept throwing them to me. So it just became a little thing, 3 or 4 games in a row where I'm having 10 targets. It was a lot of fun. But like you said, I definitely think they're earned. That trust from Kyler, that chemistry, everything that kind of comes with that trust for sure.
8 for 131, by the way, in that specific game against the Falcons. 8 for 131.
And I think a lot of the reason why Kyler has that trust in you now, because when you get into the scramble drill,
doubt.
You know how to adjust to that, and you know how to find him and help him find you. Speaking of a game, you went off another one, 10 catches, 102 yards, your last game versus the 49ers. So, but you guys obviously didn't win that game. You had a good game, but what makes playing that defense in your division, what makes playing that defense tough?
Yeah, they're a tough defense. They're guys that are talented from top to bottom in that roster. So they're very good, and it's you never know what you're going to get. You like I said, you're on one side, you get Nick Bosa, and if you get lucky, you don't get Nick Bosa, then you got Chase Young on the other side. So 2 phenomenal players. You got 2 of the best linebackers inside with Greenlaw and Warner. So phenomenal defense, and guys play really hard. So I'm excited to see how they do against the Chiefs.
And the Chiefs have a pretty good tight end themselves, right?
No
in Travis Kelce, George Kittle on the other side, 2 of the best in the game, going up against themselves. How do you see this game playing out, Trey? Do you have a pick?
Like you said, I'm super excited for the tight ends. This is 2 of the best tight ends in the league, and for me, I play the 49ers, twice a year, so I'm kind of pulling for the Chiefs. You don't want
the Super Bowl champion in your division.
You don't want the Super Bowl champion in your division, no doubt. But for me, I'm just excited to see these 2 tight ends go head to head. These are 2 of the best in the game, and I hope they both have 300 yards. That'd be the game I want to see.
Yeah, well, you certainly on your way to that type of production as well. And speaking of production, despite not, starting fully until week 8, you had Zach Ertz. He's a respected veteran. Despite not starting till then, you still racked up 81 catches, over 800 yards. So let me ask you this. With a full season, a full healthy season with Kyler Murray, give me a little stat prediction. What the numbers going to be looking like around there?
Yeah, we need to get over 1,000, right? We need over 100 catches and 1,000 yards. So that's the goal. We want to get that 1,000-yard season, and hopefully we're scoring 10 or 15 touchdowns too. That's the goal. So no, Kyler's a tremendous player, and I'm super excited to have a full year with him and see what we can do.
Yeah. Speaking of next year, Trey, when you did your exit interview with Coach Gannon and everyone else there at the staff, did they talk to you about expectations for next year in terms of your role in this offense?
Yeah, obviously, they tell me what I need to work on. They want me to be a better run blocking. They want me to be a complete tight end that can, they don't have to take off the field. They can, leave me on there or run block, go catch balls, do it all. So that's the big thing that I'm trying to be. I want to be a complete tight end, a guy who they don't have to take off the field. I can go run block, I can go catch balls and do it all for them. So that's what I'm trying to do.
By the way, fantasy managers would love that as well. We would love you to never leave the field. You're going to be drafted high and early. I'll just tell you, I have you as my tight end 4 next year. You tell me if I'm wrong. Here's who I have ahead of you. I have Laporta, Kelce, and Mark Andrews.
Yeah, you might Might be wrong. Hopefully I can prove you wrong.
Yeah.
So that's
I would love it. I would love it.
I have them too, but I have him ahead of Travis Kelce.
We'll see.
I like it.
Because Travis Kelce, he didn't quite get the 1,000 yards this year.
Yeah.
And he like he said, he trying to get that 1,000 and 100 catches. So in there, I only had you in one league, but this one league I really needed to win, like for the money, for the bragging rights, all that. You came through for your boy, so I appreciate
you. Bro. I got you, man. That's good.
Trey, we were talking a little before the show, and I asked you, have you ever played fantasy football before?
Yeah, I have. Growing up, that's like I feel like everyone wanted to play, and I haven't played recently. But
that's because you get to play real football.
Yeah. So, but I love playing. I think it's cool. I think it's fun drafting a team, kind of being the general manager, and see how easy it is. It's really not as easy as people think.
No, it is certainly not. How often does fantasy football come up in your life? To your friends, fans, when they recognize you on this,
All
talk
the time.
to you?
That's probably the most. People come up to me, man, thank you, Trey, so much. They either love you or they hate you. It's one of the two. And when they love you, it's fun. Because they'll come. But when they hate you, man, they're mad at you for losing their game or something. So it's it's part of it. But it's a lot of fun. Fantasy's a great thing, and I think it's a cool thing to keep.
Yeah.
Going.
By the way, if they're hating you, it's just because you blame the craftsman, not the tool, right?
Doubt,
exactly.
Doubt.
So don't take that seriously.
They'll hate you because they're going against you when you racking up them numbers.
That's right.
I'd make a prediction. I bet no one says anything negative to you in person.
Yeah.
Like when they meet you in person, it's all love, right?
Doubt.
It's just when they're online or they're trying to DM you or whatever.
No doubt.
All right, last question for us right here. We're in Vegas, and so if you were you're a young guy. If you were gonna have your hangover type night, your type weekend, what's a teammate that you're bringing with you to Vegas to party all night, and who's a teammate that you're leaving behind that isn't ready for Vegas?
That's a good one. I'm probably got to bring someone young and with a lot of money is my guess. So the guy that comes to mind is our first round draft pick last year. Maybe we bring Paris out here and see what he can get himself into. Leaving behind, I don't know who I'm leaving behind. Maybe that's hard, man. That's a hard one because I love them all, but I don't know. Maybe.
You're going to make somebody mad.
Yeah, I'm going to make someone mad. So
maybe Coach.
Yeah, maybe Coach. We'll leave him next so he doesn't know what we're getting ourselves
he
into.
Doesn't need to say anything.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good one. Yeah, leave Coach behind. Bring Paris so he can, has a big wallet for us.
There you go. Get you guys in everywhere as well. That is a clutch veteran move. Trey McBride, a fantasy superstar. We love you here at the show, and continued success to you, my friend.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.